Have you ever whispered a prayer that seemed too impossible to speak aloud? Perhaps it was late at night, when the room was silent but your thoughts would not rest. Perhaps you looked toward the ceiling and asked God for something that appeared to contradict every visible fact in your life. You could not explain how it might happen. You could not find a logical path toward it. You only knew that somewhere beneath the fear, beneath the exhaustion, beneath the evidence of delay, your heart was still asking. Maybe your prayer concerned money. Maybe it concerned healing, restoration, a home, a family member, an opportunity, or a way out of a situation that seemed to have no exit. And perhaps the request felt so great that you were afraid even to tell another person. You knew they might measure it against your circumstances. They might remind you of the numbers, the obstacles, the past, or the probability of failure. So you kept the prayer hidden in your heart. But a hidden prayer is not an unheard prayer. The moment a sincere desire rises within you, something begins to move beyond the reach of your ordinary reasoning. Divine intelligence is not limited by the channel you can see. It is not confined to your salary, your contacts, your education, your present resources, or your ability to calculate the future. The infinite does not require a visible road before it begins to lead you. This is one of the great spiritual lessons associated with the teachings of Florence Scovel Shinn. The good you seek does not begin to exist only after you become perfect enough to receive it. You do not have to become more worthy, more impressive, more educated, or more spiritually advanced before divine order can work in your life. Your good has its origin in the invisible. Before the tree appears, the seed is working beneath the soil. Before the answer becomes visible, circumstances may already be rearranging themselves in ways you cannot trace. Before a door opens, a conversation may be occurring in a room you have never entered. Before money reaches your hands, an idea may be forming in another person's mind. Before an opportunity arrives, someone may already be searching for the exact ability, service, experience, or insight that you possess. You do not have to know every step. You are asked only to become receptive to the next right step. The greatest barrier between many people and their answered prayer is not the size of their problem. It is their insistence on knowing exactly how the answer must come. They pray for provision, then immediately dictate the channel. They ask for a breakthrough, then reject every possibility that does not resemble the solution they imagined. They call upon divine intelligence, but they continue to consult fear as though fear were wiser. They say, "Show me the way." But when intuition points toward an unfamiliar road, they retreat to the old path because it feels more predictable. This is how the analytical mind becomes a fortress around the very blessing the heart has requested. You may have experienced this yourself. You ask for help, but in the same breath you begin listing all the reasons help cannot arrive. You pray for money, but then you stare at the empty account and pronounce the situation hopeless. You ask for a new opportunity, but you rehearse every previous disappointment. You ask for healing, but you repeatedly tell the story of how long you have suffered. The prayer rises, but fear tries to pull it back. Faith opens the door, but anxious calculation attempts to close it. This does not mean you must ignore facts or abandon wise action. It means you must stop treating present appearances as the final authority over your future. A bank balance is information. It is not prophecy. A closed door is an event. It is not a divine sentence. A delay is a condition. It is not proof of permanent denial. A mistake belongs to your history. It does not have the authority to dictate your destiny. Divine intelligence can work through conditions, around conditions, beyond conditions, and through channels that no human mind could arrange in advance. This is why surrender is not passivity. Surrender is the release of your demand to control every detail of the answer. You still act. You still listen. You still make calls, submit applications, organize your finances, develop your gifts, and respond to opportunities. But you no longer act from panic. You act from expectancy. You no longer say, "This one person must rescue me." You say, "Divine intelligence knows the perfect channel." You no longer say, The answer must arrive by this exact route. You say, I welcome my good through expected and unexpected ways. You no longer say, nothing is happening because I cannot see movement. You declare, divine order is active even before the evidence appears. Every action taken from this consciousness carries a different quality. The action may look small from the outside, but its spiritual meaning can be immense. Sending one email can be an act of faith. Making one phone call can be an act of alignment. Writing down one inspired idea can open a new stream of supply. Cleaning your desk can signal that you are prepared for new work. Organizing your wallet can declare that you are ready to steward money wisely. Resting when intuition tells you to rest can prevent you from making a decision born of exhaustion. The size of the action is not always the measure of its power. The consciousness behind the action is what gives it direction. This is why your smallest, deliberate choice can become a declaration. I am no longer preparing for defeat. I am making room for divine order. I am available for the answer. I am willing to be guided. I do not need to understand the entire road before taking the next faithful step. Your logical mind may ask for proof before it believes. Faith asks you to become inwardly available before the proof arrives. Not foolish, not careless, not blind to reality, simply open to a reality greater than the one presently visible. So, as you continue listening, release the demand to solve everything at once. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breathing become slower. Let the mind that has been calculating day and night become still enough to receive another possibility. You are not required to force the miracle into existence. You are required to stop declaring that it cannot come. Say quietly within yourself, I am guided by divine intelligence. I release the need to control the channel. My good is already moving toward perfect expression. The way is made clear before me, one faithful step at a time. Remain with these words. Something may already be shifting, not because a magical formula has been spoken, but because you are beginning to withdraw your creative energy from fear and place it in faith. And whenever consciousness changes, experience begins to follow. Your words do more than report what is happening. They reveal what you are inwardly consenting to. Every day, often without realizing it, you speak instructions into your own consciousness. You describe yourself, your future, your money, your relationships, and your possibilities. Those repeated statements sink beneath the surface of the conscious mind and become accepted patterns. You may say, I never have enough. Something always goes wrong. Money leaves as soon as it arrives. People like me never receive opportunities. I have tried everything. I am always behind. These words may feel like harmless descriptions. They may even seem justified by past experience. But repeated language becomes an atmosphere, and you eventually begin to make decisions inside that atmosphere. If you repeatedly say that nothing works, you stop noticing what could work. If you repeatedly say that opportunities never come, you approach opportunities with suspicion or fail to recognize them entirely. If you continually identify yourself with struggle, peace can feel unfamiliar, and unfamiliar good may be unconsciously resisted. This is why the spoken word holds such importance in metaphysical teaching. Your word is not a trick for controlling other people or forcing the universe to obey your personal will. It is a tool for bringing your own consciousness into agreement with divine truth. You speak not to manipulate life, but to stop contradicting the good you have asked to receive. When you declare, I accept the perfect answer, you are not pretending that the visible answer has already appeared. You are choosing not to worship the appearance of absence. When you say, divine order governs this situation, you are not denying that the situation is difficult. You are refusing to grant confusion permanent authority. When you affirm, my supply comes from an unlimited source, you are not ignoring your practical responsibilities. You are reminding yourself that your current channel is not the source itself. A job is a channel. A client is a channel. A business is a channel. An investment is a channel. A person is a channel. But no single channel is the whole of your supply. Channels can change. The source remains. This distinction frees you from desperate attachment. It allows you to appreciate your present work without believing that your entire future is imprisoned inside it. It allows you to ask for help without turning another person into your God. It allows you to pursue an opportunity wholeheartedly while remaining open to an even better form of provision. There is a moment in nearly every transformation when a private thought becomes a spoken decision. For months or years, a person may think, "I cannot continue living this way." But nothing changes until the thought becomes a declaration. "I choose differently. I am ready to leave this pattern. I will no longer speak against my own good. I accept the life divine wisdom is leading me toward." The spoken word marks a crossing. It is the moment consciousness stops negotiating with the old pattern and begins cooperating with a new one. Think of decisions in your own life that changed everything. There was likely a moment when you finally said aloud what you had known inwardly for a long time. Perhaps you said, "I am done accepting disrespect. I am ready to begin. I will ask for help. I will learn this skill. I forgive myself. I choose peace. I believe there is another way." The outer world may not have transformed in that exact second, but your relationship to it did. Your posture changed. Your perception changed. Your actions began to change. The people and circumstances around you eventually had to respond to the new consciousness you were expressing. This is the spiritual wand of the spoken word. Not fantasy, not empty repetition. A word charged with conviction, supported by right action, and aligned with divine order. Before a person sees evidence, there is often a moment when they must decide what kind of evidence they will prepare themselves to receive. Fear says, "Do not believe until you see." Faith says, "Become receptive, then watch carefully." This is why declaration matters. You are not shouting at the sky. You are giving clear direction to your own subconscious mind. You are withdrawing permission from thoughts that have kept you bound. You are training your attention to recognize new possibilities. You are saying to every level of your being, we are no longer building our future from the blueprint of fear. The subconscious receives what is impressed upon it consistently. It does not always distinguish between a vividly rehearsed fear and a deliberately cultivated expectation. If you spend hours imagining disaster, your body responds as though disaster were already present. Your muscles tighten, your breathing becomes shallow, your perception narrows, your decisions become defensive. But if you begin rehearsing divine order not as frantic fantasy, but as calm inner acceptance, your whole system starts to reorganize. You breathe more freely. You notice details that fear concealed. You recognize whom to contact. You hear the quiet idea. You pause before making the impulsive choice. You become available to inspired action. This is why right words must be followed by right listening. After declaring, "Do not immediately return to noise. Be still," the answer may come as a practical idea rather than a dramatic sign. You may feel led to review an old document. You may remember someone you should contact. You may suddenly see a way to reduce an unnecessary expense. You may be inspired to offer a service you had undervalued. You may feel a clear no toward an opportunity that appears profitable but carries disorder. You may feel a steady yes toward a small beginning that the ego considers insignificant. Intuition often speaks quietly because it does not compete with fear. It waits for you to become still enough to hear it. There is also a mysterious timing to the messages that reach us. A sentence overheard in a cafe, a book opened to the needed page, an old friend calling unexpectedly, or a video appearing during a sleepless night can become part of a larger pattern of guidance. This does not mean every coincidence must be treated as a command. Discernment remains essential. True guidance is not frantic, manipulative, or destructive. It carries a quality of clarity, steadiness, and rightness. Even when it asks for courage, it does not require you to abandon wisdom. Synchronicity can be understood as an invitation to pay attention. It is not always the answer itself. Sometimes it is a signpost, Sometimes it confirms that you are moving in the right direction. Sometimes it simply reminds you that you are not as isolated as fear has claimed. Perhaps this message has reached you during such a moment. Perhaps you have been asking whether your prayer was heard. Perhaps you have been wondering whether there is any movement at all. Let this be your inward declaration. I accept the perfect answer. My words are filled with faith and peace. I speak in harmony with divine order. I am alert to guidance, wise in action, and open to unexpected good. What is mine by divine right cannot pass me by. Do not speak these words anxiously. Let them descend into you slowly. A declaration is strongest when it carries the calm of completion rather than the strain of desperation. You are not trying to convince a reluctant universe. You are teaching your own consciousness to stop resisting the good for which you have prayed. Many people approach prayer as though they were sending a message into an empty distance. They speak, then wonder whether anyone heard. They ask, then assume the answer must still be undecided. They imagine divine intelligence as remote, difficult to reach, and perhaps unwilling to respond. But true prayer begins with a different understanding. The divine presence is not absent before you call. It is present within the call itself. Before your desire becomes a sentence, its deepest need is already known. Before you explain your fear, the whole condition is already visible to infinite wisdom. Before you ask for a path, divine intelligence understands every road, every person, every timing, and every consequence involved. Prayer is not the act of informing God about a forgotten problem. Prayer is the act of bringing your consciousness into relationship with the wisdom that already knows the perfect answer. The desire and its fulfillment arise from the same infinite source. This is why the thing you truly seek may, in a spiritual sense, also be seeking expression through you. The right work seeks the person prepared to perform it. The right client seeks the service capable of helping them. The right idea seeks a receptive mind. The right partnership seeks people prepared to cooperate. The right solution seeks the consciousness willing to recognize it. You are not always chasing something that is fleeing from you. Very often, you are learning how to become visible to a good that is already looking for an entrance into your experience. The question is not merely, will the answer come? A deeper question is, will I recognize it when it comes in a form I did not expect? Many people ask for an answer, then spend every waking hour concentrating on its apparent absence. They look at the bank account and rehearse lack. They look at the calendar and rehearse delay. They look at the past and rehearse disappointment. They ask for a new future while emotionally reliving the old one. This creates inner conflict. One part of the mind says, I believe. Another part says, nothing is changing. One part says, I am open. Another part examines every minute for evidence and becomes more anxious when no dramatic event appears. Faith cannot be measured by how intensely you monitor the clock. Faith is revealed in your willingness to live rightly while the answer unfolds. You continue making wise choices. You continue honoring your responsibilities. You continue preparing. You continue listening, but you stop digging up the seed every hour to see whether it has begun to grow. When you understand that an answer can exist in process before it appears in form, desperation begins to soften into anticipation. Desperation says, nothing has happened. Anticipation says, I may not see the whole process, but I remain available to the next sign of movement. Desperation tries to force. Anticipation watches and listens. Desperation narrows the mind. Anticipation keeps the heart receptive. This does not mean you will never feel fear. Faith is not the absence of every uncomfortable emotion. It is the decision that fear will not have the final word. You may still wake in the night with questions. You may still feel your stomach tighten when a bill arrives. You may still wonder how the month will come together, but you can learn to meet that moment differently. Instead of saying, this proves I am abandoned, you can say, this is the place where guidance is needed. Instead of declaring, there is no way, say, I do not yet see the way. Those 3 letters yet leave room for divine intelligence. There is a great difference between "there is no answer" and "the answer has not yet become visible to me." One statement closes consciousness. The other remains open. Say within yourself, "The answer exists in divine mind. I am guided toward it in perfect order. I do not chase in panic. I listen, prepare, and act with faith. What I need is revealed at the right time and through the right channel." Let this declaration become stronger than the mental habit of defeat. And now, we must speak honestly about the burden you may be carrying. Perhaps you are not merely tired. Perhaps you are weary in a way sleep does not seem to repair. You wake up, and before your feet touch the floor, the old pressure returns. The same bills, the same family concerns, the same uncertainty, the same question. How long can I continue like this? You may have become the person everyone relies upon, the provider, the problem solver, the one who appears calm so that others do not become afraid. You smile when necessary. You answer, "I am fine." You keep working. You keep calculating. You keep holding everything together. But during the night, when no one is watching, the mask falls. You stare into the darkness and wonder whether you have enough strength for another month. If this describes you, do not condemn yourself for being tired. Acknowledgement is not failure. You cannot release what you refuse to admit you are carrying. There is a mistaken form of spirituality that demands immediate positivity without honesty. It tells people to cover pain with declarations while the pain continues to cry beneath the surface. But an affirmation spoken over denial has little depth. True faith is strong enough to face the condition without surrendering to it. You may say, "I am frightened, but fear is not my master. I am exhausted, but I am willing to receive help. I do not know the full answer, but divine intelligence knows. I cannot continue carrying this alone." Such words do not weaken prayer. They make prayer real. You cannot navigate to a new destination while pretending you are somewhere else. Acknowledging your present condition gives you an honest starting point. You may be tired. You may be worried. You may need help, and you may still be surrounded by divine love. Both truths can be admitted in the same breath. Your present exhaustion does not mean your future is hopeless. Your present fear does not mean you lack faith. Your present financial condition does not define your spiritual identity. It simply reveals where healing, wisdom, and right action are needed. Take a slow breath. Sigh. I acknowledge what I feel without making it my destiny. I bring every fear into the light. I am no longer pretending that I must carry everything alone. Divine love meets me exactly where I am and guides me forward. This honest prayer creates room. The hands that have been clenched around the appearance of control begin to open, and open hands are able to release burdens. Open hands are also able to receive. There is a particular kind of fear that arrives when you open your wallet, check your account, or look at a bill and realize the numbers do not seem to agree with your needs. The body reacts before the mind can form a complete sentence. Your stomach drops. Your chest tightens. Your breathing changes. The fear is not only about money, it is about everything money appears to represent: safety, dignity, choice, the ability to provide, the ability to say yes when your child asks for something small, the ability to rest without wondering what emergency might arrive next, the ability to plan beyond tomorrow. Financial pressure can produce a private shame that is difficult to explain. You may compare your hidden struggle with the public appearance of other people's success. You see their celebrations, purchases, journeys, and achievements. You do not see their debt, anxiety, arguments, or sleepless nights. Comparison then takes incomplete information and uses it against you. It says, "Everyone else understands life except you." But this is not truth. Many people who appear confident are carrying burdens they never discuss. Many who look prosperous are afraid. Many who smile publicly are making painful decisions privately. You are not alone in your struggle, and you are not spiritually inferior because you need provision. The principle of divine supply does not ask you to pretend the empty wallet is full. It asks you to remember that the wallet is not the whole universe. Your present money is a visible measurement. Your supply includes visible and invisible possibilities, ideas, relationships, skills, opportunities, timing, wisdom, courage, creativity, favorable decisions, restored resources, reduced expenses, and channels not yet recognized. There is a supply for every legitimate demand, but that supply may not currently be sitting in the channel you are staring at. This is why fixation can become a form of blindness. You look only at the job, only at the paycheck, only at the person who promised to help, only at the application from which you expected an answer. Meanwhile, another channel may be opening. This does not mean you should wait passively for money to fall from the sky. Divine supply often arrives through inspired action, disciplined preparation, honest communication, wise stewardship, and the courageous use of gifts you have neglected. Spiritual law does not eliminate practical responsibility. It fills practical responsibility with guidance. There are moments, however, when all the practical advice in the world feels insufficient. The need is immediate. The pressure is real. You have already done what you know to do. In that hour, a very simple prayer may rise. God, give me a sign that I am not alone. That prayer is not ignored, but the sign may not arrive in the dramatic form you expect. It may be a calm idea that appears after days of confusion. It may be a person who calls at the right moment. It may be a correction that prevents a costly mistake. It may be an opportunity that first appears too small to matter. It may be a delay that protects you. It may be a sentence that restores your ability to think clearly. The answer often begins quietly. Divine guidance is subtle not because it is weak, but because it does not violate your freedom. It invites, it nudges, it illuminates. It places a next step before you. Perhaps the sign you need is not a promise that you will never face another challenge. Perhaps the sign is the awakening of hope within you after a long season of numbness. Perhaps the sign is your growing willingness to stop condemning yourself. Perhaps the sign is the realization that your present account balance is not the measure of your worth. Perhaps the sign is this simple truth. You are seen. You are heard. Your struggle matters. You are not outside the reach of divine order. Say quietly, "This is my sign to return to faith. I am not alone. I am guided toward wise action. My supply is not limited to the channel I can presently see. Divine intelligence reveals the next step. Something begins to change when you recognize that you are heard. The condition may not transform in the same second, but the energy with which you meet the condition changes. You become less reactive. You become more able to think. You notice what panic had concealed. You begin to distinguish between true urgency and fear-created urgency. You stop making permanent decisions from temporary terror. Behind visible circumstances, causes are always forming. Before a tree breaks through the soil, a silent process occurs below the surface. Roots develop, the shell opens, the seed responds to moisture, darkness, pressure, and warmth. To an observer, nothing appears to be happening. But invisibility is not inactivity. The same may be true in your life. A person is remembering your name. A resource is being released. A misunderstanding is being corrected. An old skill is becoming relevant. An idea is ripening. A door is being prepared. A path is being cleared. You do not need to invent elaborate details about what is happening behind the scenes. You need only remain willing to believe that visible evidence is not the only form of movement. The spiritual realm is not a distant place disconnected from ordinary life. It is the level of cause, intention, consciousness, and possibility that continually expresses through the material world. Your thoughts influence your choices. Your choices influence your actions. Your actions influence your relationships and circumstances. Your intuition can redirect those choices before a visible consequence develops. The invisible and visible are constantly exchanging information. This is why inner change matters so profoundly. You are never entirely stuck, because consciousness is never completely fixed. A condition that appears immovable can begin to shift when you receive a new idea, speak a new word, make a new decision, release an old resentment, ask for help, or stop insisting upon a single solution. There is also a presence with you through this process. Call it God, infinite spirit, divine intelligence, or the indwelling Christ according to the language of your faith. The name is not as important as the recognition that you are not moving through life unsupported. Think of everything you have survived. There were moments you believed would destroy you, nights you did not know how you would reach morning, losses you thought you could never carry, decisions you felt unprepared to make. Yet you are here. This does not mean every painful event was divinely caused. It means that divine love remained available within every event, strengthening, guiding, protecting, and restoring you in ways you may only recognize much later. You have been carried more often than you know. You have been redirected from dangers you never saw. You have received help through ordinary people who may not have realized they were part of an answer. You have found strength at the moment your own strength appeared, finished. Let this awareness surround you now. You do not have to solve your entire life tonight. You do not have to produce the complete answer before you rest. Sigh. Divine presence is with me. I am held in wisdom greater than my own. I release the belief that I must know everything. I receive comfort, guidance, and right action. I am never separated from the source of my good. Let the words become a place of rest. Prayer is direct communication. It is not a performance. It is not a message left for a distant authority who may eventually decide whether your need deserves attention. It is the turning of consciousness toward the presence already within and around you. The line is open. The question is whether you are willing to speak honestly and then become quiet enough to listen. Many people have been taught only one side of prayer. They speak, recite, request, and repeat. Then they rise immediately and return to noise. But prayer also includes listening. After you ask for guidance, pause. After you declare divine order, make room for a new thought. After you surrender a burden, resist the temptation to pick it up again within the next minute. An answer may arrive as peace before it arrives as information. It may come as the sudden knowledge that you should not make a decision today. It may come as a strong impulse to apologize. It may come as an idea for earning, saving, serving, or creating. It may come as a reminder to contact someone. It may come as a warning that a seemingly attractive offer carries disorder. Prayer becomes a living conversation when you expect guidance in forms that are practical, ethical, peaceful, and wise. You have direct access to divine intelligence. You do not need to become theatrical. You do not need perfect language. You do not need to imitate another person's spiritual expression. You need sincerity. You need receptivity. You need the courage to obey the clear guidance you receive. This understanding transforms you from a helpless victim of appearances into a conscious participant in your own unfolding. You are not begging for random scraps. You are learning to cooperate with infinite wisdom. But when a new spiritual insight begins to grow within you, it must be protected. Not every seed should be displayed the moment it is planted. Not every decision needs immediate public discussion. Not every prayer should be exposed to people who will measure it only through the limitations of their own experience. There may be well-meaning individuals in your life who respond to every new possibility with fear. They remind you of what failed. They explain why change is unlikely. They call caution what is actually discouragement. Their doubt does not make your good impossible, but if your faith is still tender, constant exposure to their skepticism can pull you back into the old pattern. A newly planted seed requires undisturbed soil. You do not dig it up each morning to prove that it is growing. You water it. You protect it. You trust the hidden process. There is a time to share testimony, but testimony comes after experience has matured. During the period of inner formation, silence can be a form of spiritual strength. This does not mean secrecy born of shame. It means sacred privacy. You are allowing the new consciousness to develop roots. You are becoming stable enough that another person's opinion cannot uproot what divine wisdom has established within you. Guard the early stages of your transformation. Choose carefully whose counsel you receive. Ask whether a person's words produce clarity, responsibility, courage, and peace, or confusion, dependency, panic, and shame. Wise spiritual counsel does not flatter you, but neither does it imprison you in limitation. It helps you become more honest, more responsible, more loving, and more receptive to divine order. Sai, I protect the good that is taking root within me. I do not expose every sacred beginning to careless judgment. I listen to wise counsel and release the voice of fear. My faith grows deep roots in silence, prayer, and right action. The ancient promise of hidden treasure offers a powerful image for this stage of the journey. The book of Isaiah speaks of treasures concealed in darkness and riches stored in secret places. The spiritual meaning is not limited to literal gold. It points toward resources, ideas, opportunities, gifts, and provisions that exist beyond present visibility. A treasure is not non-existent merely because it is hidden. It is present but unrevealed. Your life may contain hidden treasure in forms you have not considered, a talent you dismissed, an old connection, knowledge gained through hardship, an object of value forgotten in storage, a legal right you have not claimed, a refund, repayment, or benefit you did not know was available, a creative idea that could serve people, a story that could encourage others, a solution hidden inside a problem you have resented. There is also a gold mine within your consciousness, your ability to receive guidance, create value, recognize patterns, learn, adapt, serve, and cooperate. This inner treasure does not replace external opportunity. It magnetizes and recognizes it. When you become inwardly aligned, you notice doors that were always present but invisible to a mind absorbed in fear. The universe is not limited to the channel you are watching. You may believe your breakthrough must come from a raise, while the better answer is a new client, a new skill, a corrected expense, a partnership, a sale, or an opportunity in another field. You may be waiting for one person to help you while several other channels are quietly becoming available. You may be knocking upon a closed door because you have not yet turned around to see the open one. Divine intelligence possesses infinite creativity. Your role is not to dictate the channel. Your role is to become prepared, discerning, and willing. This is not permission to believe every rumor, chase every scheme, or accept every offer. Unexpected good still arrives in divine order. It does not require dishonesty, exploitation, panic, or the abandonment of common sense. Right supply carries rightness. It does not demand that you betray your values. It does not ask you to harm another person. It does not need deceit in order to bless you. An unexpected channel may be surprising, but it will still be consistent with wisdom. Perhaps someone returns money you had stopped expecting. Perhaps an old application is reconsidered. Perhaps a former contact remembers your work. Perhaps an overlooked possession finds a buyer. Perhaps an expense is reduced. Perhaps an idea becomes a service. Perhaps someone needs the exact knowledge you gained during your hardest season. Do not limit infinite intelligence to one route. Declare, I welcome my good through expected and unexpected channels. I recognize hidden treasure. I am guided to the right opportunity and protected from the wrong one. No person is my source. No single door controls my destiny. Divine intelligence opens the perfect way. Then look around with peaceful attention. The answer may be closer than fear allowed you to see. Divine intervention is not always dramatic. Many people wait for a thunderous voice, a spectacular sign, or an event so extraordinary that doubt becomes impossible. Meanwhile, guidance is already arriving through the ordinary moments of the day. A quiet knowing, a repeated thought, a gentle impulse to take another road, a desire to contact someone you have not spoken to in years, an unexpected hesitation before signing an agreement, a sentence that stays with you, a delay that changes your timing, a closed door that redirects your attention. These may be the fingerprints of divine order. The most important decisions of your life may not have begun with fireworks. They may have begun with a subtle inner shift that said, go, wait, ask, leave, return, or try again. Intuition is not the same as emotional impulse. Impulse is often loud, urgent, and impatient. Intuition can be quiet and persistent. Impulse demands immediate relief. Intuition points toward right action, even when that action requires courage or patience. Fear says, do something now, or everything will collapse. Intuition may say, become still before you decide. Fear focuses only on escape. Intuition considers truth, consequence, and timing. To hear guidance, you must create intervals of silence. A mind filled every minute with noise cannot easily recognize the whisper of wisdom. This does not mean you must withdraw from life or practice complicated rituals. It may mean sitting quietly for 5 minutes before checking your phone. It may mean walking without constant audio. It may mean breathing before answering. It may mean placing your hand over your heart and asking, what is the next right action? Not the next 10 actions. Not the entire solution. The next right action. Behind your daily activity, divine intelligence may be arranging circumstances with great precision, but stillness makes you more capable of participating in that arrangement. You begin to notice that what looked like an inconvenience was protection. What looked like rejection was redirection. What looked like a small conversation contained a large idea. What looked like delay gave you time to become prepared. This does not mean every painful event must be romanticized. Some events are simply painful. Some choices are unjust. Some losses require grief rather than immediate explanation. But even there, divine wisdom can lead you forward. It can reveal the next place of healing. It can bring support. It can restore purpose. It can create good without calling the pain itself good. Now bring together everything you have received so far in one simple declaration. I accept with gratitude. These words contain an entire spiritual posture. I accept means you stop treating your good as though it were forbidden. You stop saying, perhaps someday, if I become worthy. You become willing to receive now according to right timing, right form, and divine order. With gratitude means you recognize good before every detail is visible. You give thanks not because you are pretending the challenge is over, but because gratitude connects you with what remains whole even in the middle of the challenge. Gratitude is not denial. You can be grateful for guidance while still needing money. You can be grateful for support while still grieving. You can be grateful for one open door while several others remain closed. You can be grateful for today's bread while continuing to pray for tomorrow's provision. Complaint keeps attention chained to what is missing. Gratitude trains attention to recognize what is present, what is growing, and what can be used. This change in attention has practical consequences. A grateful mind sees resources. A constantly complaining mind overlooks them. A grateful mind builds relationships. A bitter mind often pushes away help. A grateful mind can learn from the present. A resentful mind repeats the wound until it becomes identity. Say slowly, I accept with gratitude. I receive the wisdom of this moment. I receive the right idea. I receive the courage to act. I receive the peace that makes clear thinking possible. I receive my good in divine order. Now breathe, not the shallow breath of someone preparing for another crisis. Take a full breath through your nose. Allow your lungs to expand. Hold it gently, then release it slowly through your mouth. Again, breathe in, pause, release. Your body has been participating in your fear. Your jaw may have remained tight. Your shoulders may have stayed lifted. Your stomach may have been contracted. Your breath may have become so shallow that tension began to feel normal. The body and consciousness are deeply connected. When your body remains in constant alarm, every condition looks more dangerous. Your ability to perceive opportunities narrows. Your mind becomes focused upon immediate survival. Intentional breathing sends a new message. In this moment, I am safe enough to listen. Breathing does not pay a bill or solve every problem, but it helps restore the state from which wise solutions can be recognized. A calm nervous system can see choices that panic conceals. A rested mind can hear intuition more clearly. A body released from constant tension becomes more able to take purposeful action. Let the breath become a doorway. As you inhale, receive peace. As you exhale, release the demand to control everything. As you inhale, receive guidance. As you exhale, release the story of inevitable failure. As you inhale, make room for good. As you exhale, let the old fear leave. Then turn toward the heart you may have protected for many years. Perhaps you have hoped before and been disappointed. Perhaps you trusted and were hurt. Perhaps you believed a door would open, only to watch it close. The heart learns to defend itself. It says, expect less and you will suffer less. It says, remain skeptical and you will not be embarrassed. It says, do not hope because hope makes loss more painful. But walls do not only keep pain out, they also obstruct love, guidance, support, opportunity, and joy. Opening your heart does not require naivety. You still practice discernment. You still recognize red flags. You still establish boundaries. You still learn from experience. An open heart is not an unprotected heart. It is a receptive heart guided by wisdom. You can say, I have been disappointed, but I am willing to hope again. I have been hurt, but I remain open to trustworthy love. I have seen closed doors, but I believe another door can open. I release cynicism without releasing discernment. My heart is open to the good appointed for me. The opening may be small at first. That is enough. A crack allows light to enter. A small willingness can begin a great transformation. Something shifts before circumstances shift. It may be subtle, a small easing in the chest, a little more space between a fearful thought and your reaction to it, a sense that perhaps the future is not as closed as it appeared yesterday. This is the dawn before the sun becomes visible. You may not yet have external evidence, but intuition begins to recognize that an inner turning has occurred. The old story no longer feels completely convincing. The belief that you are permanently trapped begins to weaken. The sentence, nothing will ever change, loses some of its authority. A quiet voice rises beneath it. What if change has already begun? Do not force a sensation. Do not try to manufacture emotional excitement. Spiritual transformation is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is the simple ability to think about the problem without collapsing. Sometimes it is the first night of better sleep. Sometimes it is the decision to make one call you have postponed. Sometimes it is the return of appetite, creativity, humor, or hope. These are signs of movement. You are not the same person you were before you became willing to release the old burden. Your external circumstances may still look familiar, but your internal relationship to them is changing. And when the inner relationship changes, new actions become possible. The pathway of fear is being replaced by the pathway of faith. The mind that automatically rehearsed disaster is learning to pause. The emotions that defaulted to despair are becoming capable of expectancy. You are not required to do this perfectly. You will have moments when the old pattern returns. Do not condemn yourself. Simply redirect. When fear speaks, answer with truth. When panic rises, breathe. When the mind says, there is no way, respond, I am willing to be shown the way. When shame says, you have failed, respond, I am learning, correcting, and moving forward. When exhaustion says, you must carry everything, respond, divine wisdom shows me what is mine to do and what I must release. You are finished fighting alone. This does not mean you will never work hard again. It means you will stop confusing strain with spiritual strength. You were not designed to hold every outcome together through constant mental pressure. You have spent years calculating, planning, anticipating, preventing, and preparing. Perhaps your vigilance helped you survive difficult seasons. Honor the strength that carried you, but survival strategies can become prisons after the emergency has passed. Constant control drains the life from you. You begin to believe that if you relax for one moment, everything will collapse. You carry your family, your work, other people's emotions, future possibilities, past mistakes, and events over which you have no control. Then you wonder why you are tired. There comes a sacred moment when human extremity becomes an opening for divine opportunity. You reach the end of your personal strategies and say, I cannot continue doing this in the same way. This is not defeat. It is surrender. Surrender means you stop trying to perform the work of infinite intelligence. You do what is yours to do. You release what is not yours to control. You make the call, but you release the other person's response. You prepare well, but you release the final outcome. You apologize sincerely, but you release the demand that forgiveness arrive immediately. You manage your money wisely, but you release terror about every future possibility. You seek treatment and care, but you release the belief that worry itself is healing. You act faithfully and place the result in divine order. There are also burdens that never belong to you. Other people's choices, their moods, their refusal to change, their opinion of you, the consequences of decisions you did not make. You may care deeply without carrying what belongs to another person's soul. Love is not the same as control. Responsibility is not the same as self-destruction. Compassion is not the requirement to absorb everyone else's pain. Release misplaced responsibility. Release the guilt connected to a decision made years ago with the understanding you possessed at that time. Learn what must be learned. Repair what can be repaired. Apologize where necessary. Then, stop using the past as a weapon against yourself. Repeated self-punishment does not correct yesterday. It only weakens your ability to act wisely today. Place the burden upon the indwelling divine presence. Sigh, I release what is beyond my rightful responsibility. I forgive myself for what I did not yet understand. I make every correction divine wisdom reveals. I no longer carry guilt as proof of goodness. I receive the freedom to move forward. Notice how much energy becomes available when unnecessary burden is released. Your mind clears. Your vision widens. You become more present. You make decisions from wisdom rather than depletion. The road may not instantly become easy, but you become lighter upon it. Now you stand at a crossroads. One path is familiar, fear. The other path is trust. Fear may feel strangely comfortable because you have rehearsed it for years. You know its language. You know how to prepare for disappointment. You know how to imagine the worst. Trust feels uncertain because it asks you to loosen your grip upon the outcome. But fear and faith use the same creative faculty. Fear is faith directed toward disaster. You have imagined failure in great detail. You have visualized conversations going badly. You have rehearsed financial collapse. You have pictured rejection before making the request. Your body responded as though these imagined events were already real. This proves that your imagination is powerful. The problem is not that you lack creative ability. The problem is that the ability has often been directed toward what you do not want. Now redirect it. Imagine yourself meeting the challenge with wisdom. Imagine opening an email and receiving helpful news. Imagine speaking calmly during the important conversation. Imagine paying what must be paid. Imagine having enough and using it wisely. Imagine a peaceful home. Imagine yourself recognizing the right opportunity. Do not strain to create a perfect picture. Simply allow your mind to become familiar with good outcomes. Trust is not passive optimism. It is disciplined, creative attention. It is the decision to give more energy to divine possibility than to rehearsed catastrophe. Declare, I choose trust. I choose wisdom. I choose abundance in thought, word, and action. I withdraw my creative power from fear. I walk in the light of divine order. Scarcity is not only an amount of money. It can become a lens through which everything is interpreted. Through the lens of scarcity, every opportunity appears dangerous. Every expense feels like proof of approaching disaster. Another person's success feels like evidence that there is less available for you. Rest feels irresponsible. Generosity feels impossible. Even a blessing can create anxiety because you immediately fear losing it. When scarcity consciousness has followed you for years, you may forget what it feels like to think from sufficiency. You begin to treat lack as an identity rather than a temporary condition. But lack is not your identity. You may be experiencing limitation without being created for limitation. You may be passing through a financial valley without belonging to the valley. You may have less than you need today without being permanently separated from supply. The kingdom of divine possibility is not impoverished. Creativity is not running out. Ideas are not running out. Love is not running out. Paths, solutions, relationships, and opportunities are not limited to the few you currently recognize. Your task is not to deny the visible condition. Your task is to stop allowing that condition to define the limits of infinite intelligence. Sigh. I am experiencing a challenge, but I am not the challenge. I am passing through limitation, but limitation does not define me. The divine source is unlimited. I am guided into right supply, right stewardship, and right action. The most important transformation begins within. People often attempt to rearrange the outer world while maintaining the same inner assumptions. They seek a new job while continually declaring themselves unwanted. They ask for prosperity while expecting every opportunity to fail. They seek loving relationships while inwardly believing they must always be abandoned. Then they wonder why the outer pattern repeats. The outer world is not controlled by thought alone, and other people possess freedom. But your inner state powerfully affects what you notice, what you accept, what you refuse, how you act, and what you continue to create. Two people can meet a similar condition and respond differently because they perceive it through different consciousness. One sees only threat. Another sees information. One freezes. Another asks a useful question. One concludes, "This always happens to me." Another says, "What must I learn, change, or do next?" The difference is not that one person never feels fear. The difference is which consciousness receives authority. Change your inner state, and your choices begin to change. Change your repeated choices, and your experience begins to reorganize. This is part of what metaphysical teaching calls demonstration, the movement of an invisible conviction into visible expression. First, there is an inner acceptance, then a word, then a decision, then an action, then a new relationship with circumstances, then, often in ways that appear miraculous, an outer result. The invisible and visible are not isolated worlds. They meet within consciousness. Every possibility may be compared to music already broadcasting through the air. You do not create the broadcast by turning the dial. You tune yourself to the frequency upon which it can be heard. In the same way, opportunities may already exist that you cannot recognize while consciousness remains fixed upon defeat. As your inner state aligns with abundance, responsibility, peace, and divine guidance, you become capable of seeing what was formerly invisible to you. You do not become someone false. You become aligned with a truer version of yourself. You are not attempting to create your worth. You are revealing worth that fear concealed. You are not manufacturing supply from nothing. You are cooperating with possibilities already present in divine mind. As within, so without is not a formula for blaming yourself for every hardship. It is an invitation to reclaim the area of power that truly belongs to you, your consciousness, your language, your choices, and your willingness to act. Now imagine a window in an old house. The window has been painted shut through many seasons. Layer after layer has sealed the frame until it no longer opens. The room has grown stale. The air feels heavy. The fresh air is still outside. The window still exists, but circulation has stopped. This window represents an area of life that has felt motionless for a long time, a financial condition that never seems to improve, a relationship trapped in the same argument, a creative project that remains unfinished, a career that has stopped developing, a body exhausted by years of tension. You may have pushed the window once or twice. When it did not move, you concluded that it never would. But persistent faith applies steady pressure, not aggression, not frantic force, steady willingness. You examine the frame. You loosen what can be loosened. You remove old layers. You ask for help. You try again with better tools. Then one day, the seal breaks. The window opens a fraction. Fresh air enters. That first opening may be small. One payment, one new client, one peaceful conversation, one day of clear thinking, one inspired idea, one healthy boundary. Do not despise the first inch. Circulation has begun. Once movement returns, it can build upon itself. A small opportunity leads to a relationship. The relationship leads to knowledge. The knowledge leads to another decision. The decision opens a new stream. What looked like a sudden breakthrough was actually a sequence of faithful openings. This is divine circulation, the movement of good through channels that are no longer blocked by fear, shame, resentment, or rigid expectation. Feel the fresh air entering your life. Breathe it in. Sigh. The old seal is broken. The channel is open. Divine circulation is restored in my life. I welcome fresh ideas, fresh energy, right relationships, and perfect provision. The flow of good has begun. Real prayer does not require polished language. It does not require you to sound impressive, religious, or certain about everything. What moves the heart into genuine contact with divine presence is honesty. There comes a moment when you must stop performing strength and begin speaking from the place that truly needs help. You may pray, "I am tired. I do not know what to do next. I have been pretending that I am less frightened than I really am. I have allowed pride to prevent me from asking for help. I have been carrying this burden as though everything depended upon me. Show me how to release it. Show me the next right action. Restore peace within me." That is prayer. Raw truth offered to infinite love. The divine presence is not a distant judge requiring beautiful sentences. It is the deepest wisdom within life, already aware of everything you are attempting to hide. Your honesty does not shock God. It frees you from the energy required to maintain the disguise. The barrier between you and help is not created by divine unwillingness. It is often created by your belief that you must appear competent before you can receive support. Let the appearance fall. You need help. Every human being does. And needing help is not evidence of spiritual failure. It is evidence that life was designed through relationship, cooperation, and circulation. Now look more deeply at what you believe you are asking for. You may say you want money, and money may indeed be necessary. You may need rent, food, medical care, transportation, education, debt relief, or resources to support your family. There is nothing unspiritual about legitimate material need. Yet beneath the desire for money, there is often another desire, peace. You want to sleep without being awakened by panic. You want to sit with the people you love without mentally calculating bills. You want to make choices without desperation. You want dignity. You want security. You want freedom from the relentless feeling that one unexpected expense could destroy everything. Money is not the deepest desire. The state you associate with money is the deeper desire. This understanding matters because peace cannot be postponed until every external condition is perfect. A person can receive a large sum and remain terrified of losing it. A person can earn more and immediately expand their fear. A person can escape one debt and create another because the inner consciousness has not changed. True prosperity includes money, but it is larger than money. It is mental peace, emotional stability, healthy relationships, physical vitality, meaningful work, the freedom to give, the wisdom to manage. the ability to enjoy what is present, the awareness of divine companionship. Prosperity is wholeness. When you seek peace first, you do not abandon the need for material provision. You enter the state from which provision can be handled wisely. A peaceful mind recognizes opportunity. A desperate mind often accepts anything. A peaceful mind can negotiate. A desperate mind agrees too quickly. A peaceful mind can plan. A desperate mind seeks immediate relief without considering future cost. A peaceful mind listens to intuition. A desperate mind follows the loudest promise. This is why the inward state must be restored. Sigh. I choose peace first. Peace clears my mind. Peace guides my decisions. Peace does not make me passive. It makes me precise. From peace, I recognize the right opportunity. From peace, I refuse the wrong one. From peace, I act with divine wisdom. Let peace become a spiritual strategy. Before opening the bill, breathe. Before making the call, breathe. Before agreeing to the offer, breathe. Before sending the emotional message, breathe. Then ask, what would divine wisdom have me do? The answer may still require courage. Peace is not always the easiest choice. Sometimes peace tells you to face the bill, make the difficult call, create a budget, seek professional advice, admit a mistake, or leave an arrangement that is harming you. But right action taken from peace carries a different result than frantic action taken from panic. Your prayer for money is also a prayer to become someone who can hold, direct, and circulate money wisely. Therefore, ask not only for supply, ask for wisdom, ask for discipline, ask for clear perception, ask for freedom from impulsive decisions, ask for the ability to distinguish need from emotional escape, ask for courage to charge fairly for your work, ask for humility to learn what you do not yet understand, ask for strength to correct unhealthy patterns. Sigh. Divine intelligence, prepare me for the good I seek. Give me wisdom equal to the blessing. Give me peace equal to the responsibility. Give me discernment equal to the opportunity. Let every increase become a source of order, freedom, and service. This is mature prosperity, not merely asking, how quickly can money appear, but also asking, who must I become to use it well? The answer to that prayer creates abundance that lasts. Blessings are not meant to end with you. They reach you, support you, restore you, and then seek expression through you. You are not a closed container. You are a channel. Water held without movement eventually becomes stagnant. Water flowing through a channel remains fresh. The same principle applies to prosperity. When good is received only with the intention of hoarding, fear remains in control. You may possess more, but your consciousness continues to say, there will never be enough. When good is received with gratitude, wisdom, and willingness to circulate, you become part of a larger movement of supply. This does not mean giving away everything or neglecting your responsibilities. Generosity without wisdom can become disorder. You must provide for legitimate needs. You must save. You must plan. You must protect your family. You must honor commitments. But even within wise stewardship, the heart can remain open. You can give encouragement. You can share knowledge. You can recommend someone's work. You can offer time, kindness, attention, or a meal. You can pay people fairly. You can support a cause when you are able. You can become someone through whom good moves rather than someone who blocks it through fear. Your breakthrough may serve people you have not yet met. Your children may need to witness someone breaking an inherited pattern of scarcity. A future employee may need the work your business creates. A person in your community may need the help you will one day be positioned to offer. Someone may need the story of how you moved from despair to divine order. Your prosperity is not selfish when it increases your capacity to serve rightly. There is no virtue in remaining powerless, merely to appear humble. Humility does not mean denying your gifts. It means recognizing that your gifts have a source and a purpose beyond personal pride. The ability to receive can itself be an act of gratitude. When you accept good without shame, use it wisely, and allow it to benefit others, your life demonstrates the generosity of divine law. Sigh. I am a channel of abundance. Good flows to me, through me, and beyond me. I receive without guilt. I manage with wisdom. I give without fear. I remain connected to the source, which never runs dry. Ask yourself how the next increase can produce greater order. Perhaps part of it pays debt, part builds savings, part supports your household, part develops your skill, part is circulated where it can do genuine good. Spiritual prosperity does not reject structure. Structure protects the flow. A river needs banks. Without them, the water spreads and loses direction. In the same way, a budget can become a spiritual instrument, not a symbol of restriction, but a way of directing supply with intention. Planning does not contradict faith. Planning guided by fear can become obsession, but planning guided by wisdom becomes stewardship. The transformation you seek is not simply having more. It is becoming capable of holding more without losing peace, integrity, or purpose. Many people receive an increase before developing the consciousness to manage it. The increase then magnifies confusion. More money does not automatically create wisdom. It may only make existing patterns larger. Therefore, let your prayer include inner preparation. I am ready for increase. I use money with clarity. I make decisions slowly enough to hear wisdom. I do not spend to prove my worth. I do not hoard because I fear the future. I direct every resource according to divine order. Generosity is not reserved for the wealthy. It is a consciousness. A person with little can still possess a generous spirit. A person with much can still live in severe inner poverty. Begin where you are. Give attention when money is limited. Give gratitude. Give honest praise. Give useful knowledge. Give a prayer. Give respect. Give excellent work. Give people the dignity of your full presence. As your material capacity grows, allow your generosity to grow with it. But do not use giving as a bargain with the universe. You are not paying a spiritual fee to force a reward. True giving is circulation, not manipulation. Give because you recognize connection. Give because you trust that good is not destroyed by right use. Give because you are becoming free from the belief that everything must be gripped tightly to remain yours. An open hand can release. An open hand can also receive again. There are people connected to your future provision, not because you must rescue everyone, but because your life has purpose. Perhaps the skill you are developing will solve a problem for thousands. Perhaps your healing will make you compassionate towards someone who feels forgotten. Perhaps your financial recovery will allow you to support a family member without destroying yourself. Perhaps your success will create employment, knowledge, beauty, comfort, or hope. Your breakthrough belongs to you, but its blessing can extend beyond you. Let that thought increase your courage. You are not asking merely for personal relief. You are asking to become available for a larger circulation of good. Declare, divine supply flows through my life in perfect order. I am a wise steward. I am generous without being careless. I am responsible without being fearful. My prosperity brings peace to my home and good to the world around me. An untended garden does not remain empty. Weeds enter quietly. They spread until they seem to belong there. The same is true of consciousness. A belief repeated for many years can begin to feel like a fact. I am bad with money. I always struggle. People from my background do not become prosperous. I am not educated enough. I missed my opportunity. I am too old. I am too young. I have made too many mistakes. These are not neutral observations. They are seeds. When watered with repetition, they grow into expectations. Expectations influence decisions. Decisions influence outcomes. Outcomes are then used as proof that the original belief was true. The cycle continues until the belief is questioned. You may have inherited some of these ideas. Perhaps you heard adults speak constantly about shortage. Perhaps money was associated with conflict, secrecy, guilt, or fear. Perhaps prosperity was described as selfish. Perhaps wealthy people were always portrayed as dishonest. Perhaps you were taught that spiritual people must reject material good. Perhaps you watched the people you loved work hard and remain exhausted, and you concluded that struggle was the natural price of survival. Compassionately examine these beliefs. Do not condemn the people who pass them to you. They may have spoken from the limits of their own experience, but you are not required to preserve every limitation you inherited. You can honor your past without repeating it. You can love your family without continuing their fear. You can be grateful for what they taught you while choosing a different financial consciousness. Pull the weeds by the roots. When the thought says, "I always struggle," answer, "I have struggled, but struggle is not my identity." When it says, "I am terrible with money," answer, "I am capable of learning wise stewardship." When it says, "Opportunity never comes to me," answer, "I prepare myself to recognize and use the right opportunity." When it says, "I am unworthy," answer, "My worth is spiritual and cannot be measured by a bank account." You cannot consistently speak abundance while privately worshiping limitation. You cannot move in two opposite directions at once. This does not require perfect thought every minute. It requires persistent correction. A weed may reappear. Remove it again. An old sentence may return. Replace it again. The garden of consciousness is cultivated through repetition. Doubt is not merely the absence of faith. It is often confidence placed in the wrong outcome. You may be completely certain that you will fail, completely convinced that no one will help, completely persuaded that nothing can change. That is faith directed toward limitation. Redirect it. You do not need a new creative faculty. You need to place the faculty you already possess in service to divine truth. Financial shame must also be uprooted. Perhaps your card was declined. Perhaps you needed assistance. Perhaps you could not afford an invitation. Perhaps you made a poor decision. Perhaps you accumulated debt. These events may require correction, but they do not define your being. Shame says, "I made a mistake, therefore I am a mistake." Wisdom says, "I made a mistake, therefore I will learn." Shame hides. Wisdom seeks information. Shame repeats punishment. Wisdom creates a plan. Shame says, "I do not deserve another chance." Divine love says, "Begin again with greater understanding." You are not your bank balance. You are not your credit history. You are not the number of opportunities you missed. You are not the financial behavior you learned before you knew another way. You are a spiritual being capable of growth, correction, creation, and wise action. Unworthiness is not humility. True humility acknowledges both human limitation and divine possibility. It says, "By myself, I do not know everything. Through divine intelligence, I can be taught." It says, "I have made mistakes, but I remain capable of good." It says, "I do not demand prosperity as proof that I am superior. I receive it as a responsibility to live and serve well." Declare, "I release financial shame. I release inherited scarcity. I am teachable, guided, and capable. I deserve the opportunity to correct, rebuild, and prosper. I am worthy of divine good because I am an expression of divine life." Now consider that provision may already be moving through real, practical channels. A conversation may become a contract. An overlooked application may be reconsidered. A skill you dismissed may become valuable. A person who owes you may be preparing to repay. A new client may be searching. An expense may be corrected. A benefit may be approved. A product may find its market. A creative idea may become a service. Do not attach yourself to these exact possibilities. They are examples, not predictions. The principle is that there are more routes to supply than you can presently calculate. You do not need every route to open. One right channel, opened in divine order, can change the direction of your life. Remain alert. Prepare. Answer messages. Develop your work. Keep records. Follow up wisely. Learn the necessary skill. Ask the useful question. Faith does not remain asleep when the door opens. Faith is ready to walk through. You may still be in the valley. The bills may still be present. The account may look unchanged. The path may remain difficult. This is the point where many people abandon the new consciousness. They feel hope for a moment, then return to appearances and say, "Nothing happened." But the valley limits your view. You cannot always see the summit from the lowest ground. Every step still changes your position. Persistence matters, not exhausting, fearful striving, faithful persistence, the decision to keep speaking rightly, the willingness to make another responsible choice, the courage to continue after a disappointment, the humility to adjust your plan, the discipline to keep walking when emotional excitement fades. Your breakthrough is not sustained by temporary intensity. It is sustained by established consciousness. Sigh, I will not quit in the valley. I walk by guidance, not by appearances alone. Every faithful step carries me forward. I remain open, prepared, and expectant. Divine order is leading me toward higher ground. Imagine a desert that has not seen rain for years. The earth is cracked. The wind moves over dry ground. Nothing green appears anywhere. To the natural eye, the land looks empty. But beneath the surface, seeds remain. They appear dead, yet they are only dormant. They have been waiting for the right conditions. Then rain comes. At first, the ground merely darkens. Nothing dramatic appears, but the water is sinking below the surface. The seeds begin to respond. Their shells soften. Roots push downward. Life moves upward. Then, almost suddenly, the desert blooms. Color appears where there was only dust. What looked permanently barren becomes a garden. This is the spiritual picture of your life under divine order. The dream you believed was dead may be dormant. The creativity you thought was lost may be waiting for peace. The financial stream that dried up may be waiting for a new channel. The relationship that cannot return to its old form may be preparing to teach you a new form of love. The energy you believed was gone may be buried beneath years of unprocessed burden. The possibility has not necessarily disappeared. It may be awaiting the rain of a changed consciousness. Faith is that rain. Gratitude is that rain. Right words are that rain. Honest prayer is that rain. Wise action is that rain. Surrender is that rain. The willingness to receive is that rain. Divine order can turn the desert of experience toward a garden not by ignoring the dry season, but by releasing life where no life was visible. This transformation is holistic. As fear decreases, your body rests more deeply. As your body rests, your mind becomes clearer. As your mind clears, you make better decisions. As decisions improve, relationships and circumstances begin to respond. As shame is released, creativity returns. As creativity returns, new forms of value become possible. As value is expressed, supply finds new channels. The change radiates outward because it began within. Now let us seal this teaching with prayer. Become still. Place your feet firmly upon the floor. Relax your hands. Release your jaw. Take a slow breath and speak these words with calm conviction. Divine intelligence, I turn toward you now. I release every burden I was never meant to carry alone. I release the fear that has governed my imagination. I release the shame that has defined me by temporary conditions. I release the demand to know exactly how my answer must arrive. I acknowledge my present need, but I refuse to make it my permanent identity. I accept divine order. I accept right supply. I accept wisdom, peace, courage, and clear direction. My words are filled with creative power, and I speak only what is aligned with faith, truth, abundance, and right action. Where I once declared impossibility, I now declare openness. Where I once rehearsed disaster, I now imagine divine resolution. Where I once gripped the burden, I now place it in the hands of infinite wisdom. Where I once watched one closed door, I now become receptive to every right channel. Divine intelligence knows the way. Divine intelligence knows the timing. Divine intelligence knows the people, places, ideas, and actions involved. I do not need to control the entire process. I need only to listen and obey the next right step. I am guided. I am protected from wrong action. I am directed toward honest, useful, and prosperous opportunities. I recognize hidden treasure. I recognize the value within me. I recognize the ideas, abilities, relationships, and resources already present. I welcome new supply through expected and unexpected channels. No person is my source. No salary is my source. No client is my source. No institution is my source. These may be channels, but the divine is my unlimited source. I bless every present channel, and I remain open to new ones. I am a wise steward of what I receive. I pay what must be paid. I save with wisdom. I spend with clarity. I give with love. I no longer use money to prove my worth or hide my pain. Money becomes an instrument of peace, freedom, order, and service in my hands. I release the belief that I must struggle forever. I release every inherited pattern of scarcity. I release every sentence that says I am incapable, forgotten, unworthy, or too late. I am teachable. I am capable of correction. I am capable of growth. I am capable of receiving and managing increase. My past is instructed, forgiven, and released. It no longer controls my future. Divine love restores what fear has damaged. Divine wisdom reveals what confusion has hidden. Divine order opens what is mine to enter and closes what is not right for me. I do not chase in desperation. I do not accept harmful opportunities because I am afraid. I wait when wisdom says wait. I move when wisdom says move. I speak when wisdom says speak. I remain silent when the new seed requires protection. My intuition becomes clear. My mind becomes peaceful. My body releases the tension of constant alarm. I breathe in faith. I breathe out fear. I breathe in guidance. I breathe out control. I breathe in gratitude. I breathe out complaint. My heart is open. I remain discerning, but I am no longer closed. I remain wise, but I am no longer cynical. I remember past lessons without expecting past pain to repeat forever. I am willing to hope again. I am willing to trust divine order again. I am willing to receive again. The window is open. Fresh spiritual air moves through every stagnant place. Divine circulation is restored. Ideas flow. Energy flows. Love flows. Opportunity flows. Provision flows. The desert receives rain. Dormant seeds awaken. What appeared lifeless begins to bloom in perfect time. I am not abandoned in the valley. Every faithful step carries me toward higher ground. I will not quit because the summit is not yet visible. I continue with peace. I continue with wisdom. I continue with courage. I continue with expectancy. I am a channel of abundance. Good flows to me, through me, and beyond me. My prosperity blesses my home. My prosperity strengthens my purpose. My prosperity enables right service. My prosperity becomes evidence that fear does not possess the final word. I accept with gratitude. I accept the right idea with gratitude. I accept the right opportunity with gratitude. I accept the wisdom to recognize it with gratitude. I accept the courage to act with gratitude. I accept peace before the evidence appears. I accept divine order now. The flow of good is active. The way is being made clear. The answer is moving toward perfect expression. I speak the word of faith, and divine order now opens my way. Remain quiet for a moment. Do not rush away from the prayer. Let the words settle beneath the surface of thought. You do not need to feel dramatic emotion. Calm acceptance is enough. You do not need to search anxiously for an immediate sign. Return to your life with alertness, wisdom, and peace. Watch for the next right action. Pay attention to the quiet idea. Notice the person you feel led to contact. Recognize the task you have been avoiding. Correct what must be corrected. Prepare for what you have requested. Faith is not merely a feeling experienced during prayer. Faith becomes visible through the choices made after prayer. Speak differently. Act differently. Listen more carefully. Manage what you possess with respect. Stop condemning small beginnings. A tiny opening can restore circulation. A single idea can redirect a career. One conversation can create a relationship. One disciplined decision can interrupt years of disorder. One sincere prayer can return your mind to peace. Do not measure the power of a seed by its size. Measure it by the life it carries. Your breakthrough may not begin with money appearing suddenly from nowhere. It may begin with the idea, introduction, correction, courage, peace, or opportunity through which rightful supply reaches you. Remain open to the form divine wisdom chooses. The miracle is not merely an amount entering an account. The miracle is the transformation that makes you capable of recognizing, receiving, managing, and circulating your good. You are no longer speaking as someone abandoned. You are speaking as someone guided. You are no longer waiting helplessly for life to rescue you. You are cooperating with divine intelligence. You are no longer defining yourself by the empty place. You are preparing for the flow that can fill it. You are no longer asking fear to predict your future. You are allowing faith to direct your next step. Divine order is working. Your word is creative. Your intuition is guiding. Your heart is open. Your burden is released. Your consciousness is changing. And as the inner state changes, the outer path begins to reveal itself. Carry one declaration with you from this moment forward. I speak the word of faith, and divine order now opens my way. Write that declaration in the comments as your conscious agreement with the lesson you have received. Speak it when fear returns. Speak it before making important decisions. Speak it while preparing for work. Speak it when a visible door closes. Speak it calmly, not desperately. Then listen. Act upon the guidance you receive. Give thanks for every sign of movement, however small. The seed is beneath the soil. The rain has begun. The window is opening. The fresh air is entering. The desert is preparing to bloom. And the good appointed for you is finding its perfect way into visible expression. I speak the word of faith, and divine order now opens my way. Now, let this truth become firmly established within you. The flow of good is open, not at some distant time when you have finally corrected every mistake, not after you have suffered long enough to earn relief, not when other people decide that you are worthy, not when every doubt has vanished from your mind. The movement begins now, within your consciousness, within your words, within your willingness to receive guidance and cooperate with it. You may not yet see the full manifestation, but the inner valve has turned. Where resistance once stood, receptivity is growing. Where fear once issued every command, faith is beginning to speak. Where you once stared at one closed channel, you are becoming aware of infinite possibilities. Where you once said, nothing can change, you are now declaring, divine intelligence is showing me what I could not see before. This is how the new life begins. It begins inside before it becomes visible outside. A better experience is not created merely by wishing for different circumstances. It is created as you make different choices from a different state of consciousness. You no longer spend the entire day rehearsing shortage. You no longer speak of yourself as a person destined to struggle. You no longer make panic your counselor. You no longer reject small opportunities because they do not resemble the dramatic answer you expected. You become attentive. You become teachable. You become willing to move when guidance says move, and willing to wait when wisdom says wait. You begin to understand that divine order may express through very ordinary things. An honest conversation, a corrected decision, a new skill, a forgotten contact, a small opportunity accepted with gratitude, a necessary boundary, a quiet idea acted upon consistently, an expense reduced, a debt plan created, a service improved. A door approached with new confidence. The spiritual does not oppose the practical. The spiritual illuminates the practical. Divine intelligence may answer your prayer for prosperity by guiding you towards something you must learn. It may show you a habit that must be released, a talent that must be developed, or a relationship that must be handled differently. The answer may include money, but it may also include the wisdom necessary to keep money. It may include opportunity, but it may also include the courage required to accept opportunity. It may include an open door, but it may also include the discernment to recognize which door is truly right for you. This is why you must not measure an answered prayer only by immediate appearance. Sometimes the first answer is internal clarity. Sometimes the first answer is peace. Sometimes the first answer is an idea. Sometimes the first answer is the strength to face what you have been avoiding. And when that first answer is honored, the next answer appears. One faithful step reveals another. One right word prepares the way for right action. One act of courage changes your direction. One moment of gratitude changes the atmosphere in which you make your decisions. The good appointed for you does not need to arrive by force. It arrives through alignment. You cannot force a flower to bloom by pulling at its petals. You prepare the soil, provide water and light, and allow life to express according to its order. In the same way, you do not force prosperity by living in constant tension. You establish the conditions within yourself through which prosperity can be recognized, welcomed, managed, and circulated. You speak rightly. You listen inwardly. You act wisely. You release fear. You express gratitude. You remain persistent without becoming frantic. You prepare yourself for the good you have requested. Then you allow divine intelligence to arrange what is beyond your control. Say now, the flow of good is active in my life. Divine intelligence directs every rightful channel. I do not force, chase, or beg. I prepare, listen, and respond. I am led toward the perfect opportunities, relationships, ideas, and resources. Everything necessary for my next step is revealed in perfect order. Let those words settle into your consciousness. Do not hurry past them. The anxious mind will attempt to ask, but when? Through whom? How much? By what exact date? Gently answer, I do not need to know everything at once. Faith is not the possession of every detail. Faith is the ability to remain inwardly steady while the details are being revealed. There is a difference between expectancy and anxious monitoring. Expectancy is open. Anxious monitoring is tense. Expectancy says, I am ready to recognize the answer. Anxious monitoring says, unless it happens immediately and exactly as I imagined, I will believe nothing is working. Release the clock from your grip. Right timing is part of divine order. This does not mean accepting endless delay without action. It means that after you have done what is yours to do, you stop poisoning the seed with constant fear. You follow up. You prepare. You remain responsible. But you do not turn every passing hour into proof of failure. A seed does not become inactive simply because you cannot see it beneath the soil. The roots may be forming. The shell may be opening. The first movement may be occurring in darkness. Do not mistake hidden development for absence. The desert of your life may appear unchanged for a time after the first rain falls. The ground absorbs the water before the flowers rise. Beneath the surface, life begins its work quietly. Your own transformation may unfold in the same way. The first change may be that you sleep more peacefully. The second may be that you stop avoiding your financial reality. The third may be that you organize what you possess. The fourth may be that you notice an ability you have never valued properly. The fifth may be that you contact someone. The sixth may be that an opportunity appears. The seventh may be that you finally possess the courage to say yes. When the visible breakthrough comes, people may call it sudden, but you will know it was built through many invisible decisions. It began when you stopped speaking defeat. It grew when you released shame. It strengthened when you chose peace. It moved forward when you obeyed intuition. It became visible when inner alignment met right action. This is the flowering of divine order. You have now reached a sacred threshold. Behind you stands the old consciousness, the consciousness that believed everything depended upon human strain, that one closed door meant all doors were closed, and that your past had the authority to imprison your future. Before you stands another way of living, a life in which you cooperate with divine intelligence, a life in which you respect practical facts without worshiping them, a life in which your words become instruments of faith rather than weapons turned against yourself, a life in which money is no longer a source of constant terror, but a resource to be received, directed, and circulated with wisdom, a life in which you are allowed to rest, a life in which you ask for help, a life in which you trust that the right answer does not always come through the most obvious channel. The threshold is crossed by decision. No one else can cross it for you. You decide that fear will no longer write the script of your future. You decide that shame will no longer be your identity. You decide that temporary circumstances will no longer become permanent declarations. You decide that your word will agree with life, order, peace, and possibility. You decide to become receptive to good without demanding that good arrive through one particular person. This does not mean you will never feel afraid again. Old habits of thought may return. A bill may arrive. A plan may change. Someone may disappoint you. The visible world will continue to contain challenges, but you will not meet those challenges as the same person. You now possess another response. When fear says, "Everything is falling apart," you can answer, "Divine order shows me what requires attention." When shame says, "You are a failure," you can answer, "I am learning, rebuilding, and being guided." When impatience says, "Nothing is happening," you can answer, "I remain alert to visible and invisible movement." When desperation says, "Take any opportunity," you can answer, "I accept only what is right, honest, and in divine order." When the mind says, "This one channel must provide," you can answer, "My source is unlimited, and its channels are many." These are not empty sentences. They are new instructions to your consciousness. Repeated faithfully, they interrupt the old automatic pattern. They create a pause between fear and action. Inside that pause, wisdom becomes audible. Inside that pause, you recover choice. You begin to see that freedom does not always begin when the circumstance disappears. Freedom begins when the circumstance can no longer control every thought, every word, and every decision. You may still be facing a financial obligation, but you are no longer paralyzed by it. You may still be waiting for an answer, but you are no longer defining silence as rejection. You may still be walking through the valley, but you are no longer turning back toward the place from which you came. You keep walking, not with frantic speed, not with false confidence, with quiet spiritual authority. You know that every step taken in faith changes your position. You know that the mountain may be hidden from the valley, but hidden is not non-existent. You know that persistence is not wasted merely because the final result has not appeared. You know that divine intelligence can organize circumstances in ways you are not able to predict, and so you move forward. Perhaps slowly, perhaps with trembling hands, but you move. Courage does not require the absence of fear. Courage is faith taking action, while fear is still speaking. The person who waits to feel perfectly ready may wait forever. The person who listens for the next right step can begin today. Do not ask yourself to transform your entire life before nightfall. Ask, what is the next faithful action? Perhaps it is opening the envelope you have been avoiding. Perhaps it is making a list of what is owed. Perhaps it is asking for an extension. Perhaps it is applying for work. Perhaps it is following up with a client. Perhaps it is learning how to offer your skill more clearly. Perhaps it is stopping an unnecessary expense. Perhaps it is resting so that you can think properly tomorrow. Perhaps it is forgiving yourself and beginning again. The next right action does not have to be dramatic. It has to be right. Small actions performed consistently in a changed consciousness become channels through which the new life expresses. Do not despise simplicity. The infinite often works through a sequence of simple acts so perfectly arranged that only later do you understand their significance. You make one call. That call leads to a meeting. The meeting leads to an idea. The idea leads to an opportunity. The opportunity leads to provision. And looking backward, you realize that the entire road began with one inward nudge you almost ignored. This is why stillness remains important even after the prayer ends. Do not return immediately to the old storm of thought. Carry an inner quietness with you. Let your day become a conversation with divine wisdom. Before acting, pause. Before speaking, listen. Before accepting, discern. Before rejecting, ask whether fear is making the decision. You are developing spiritual sensitivity. The more faithfully you honor true intuition, the clearer its voice becomes. And the more you distinguish intuition from panic, the less power panic has over you. Your path is not governed by confusion. Divine order is not disorder wearing spiritual language. The right way produces increasing clarity, integrity, responsibility, and peace. It may stretch you, but it will not ask you to betray your soul. It may require patience, but it will not require endless self-abandonment. It may ask you to take a risk, but not to surrender wisdom. It may lead you beyond the familiar, but never beyond the presence of divine guidance. Declare, I am guided in ways I can recognize. My intuition is clear, peaceful, and wise. I am protected from confusion, deception, and impulsive action. I know when to move and when to wait. Every right step is revealed at the right time. Now imagine once more the desert receiving rain. For a long time, the land appeared empty. The surface was cracked by heat. Nothing in the landscape suggested that flowers could ever grow there again. But the seeds were present. They were hidden in silence. They carried life through the season of dryness. Your dreams have also carried life. Some may need to be released because they belong to an earlier version of you, but others remain alive beneath the surface, purified by experience and waiting for a wiser expression. The desire to create, the desire to serve, the desire to live without constant fear, the desire to provide for those you love, the desire to use your abilities fully, the desire to wake with purpose. These desires are not foolish, merely because circumstances have delayed them. The reign of faith does not promise that every personal demand will be fulfilled exactly as imagined. It promises that divine good can emerge in forms greater, wiser, and more appropriate than the limited mind has planned. Perhaps what returns will not look like the original dream. Perhaps it will be more peaceful, more useful, more stable, more aligned with the person you have become. Do not cling so tightly to the old picture that you miss the divine selection. Sigh. I release every form that no longer serves my highest good. I welcome the perfect expression of my desire. I do not insist upon what is smaller than divine wisdom. I receive what is right, complete, peaceful, and lasting. The rain begins inside. It falls each time you replace complaint with gratitude. It falls each time you choose a right word. It falls each time you act from peace instead of panic. It falls each time you release a burden. It falls each time you forgive yourself. It falls each time you remain open after disappointment. It falls each time you remember that the visible condition is not the whole truth. Soon the ground of consciousness begins to soften. Ideas that could not take root in fear now find room. Creativity returns. Energy begins to rise. The mind becomes capable of imagining more than survival. This is an important turning point. For a long time, all your energy may have been devoted to getting through the day. You did not have space to create, dream, plan, or serve beyond the immediate crisis. Do not condemn yourself for that. Survival consumed what survival required. But now, as peace returns, ask divine intelligence to restore your vision. What would you create if fear did not make every decision? What would you learn? Whom would you serve? What work would you offer? What conversation would you begin? What habit would you change? What would you permit yourself to believe? You do not need to answer every question immediately. Let them open new rooms within your consciousness. Scarcity narrows life until there appears to be only one possible road. Abundance consciousness restores alternatives. You begin to recognize that your future can be formed through choices you have not yet made. You are not trapped inside the repetition of yesterday. The old cycle can end. A new cycle can begin with one changed belief, supported by one changed action, repeated faithfully. Perhaps your family has known financial struggle for generations. Perhaps you have watched fear pass from parent to child like an inheritance. You can honor the suffering of those who came before you without continuing the pattern. You can become the person who says, "The fear ends here. The secrecy ends here. The shame ends here. The absence of financial wisdom ends here. The belief that struggle is our natural state ends here." This is not rejection of your family. It is healing offered to the family line. Through you, another story can begin. A story of wise stewardship, honest communication, healthy work, peaceful receiving, responsible giving, spiritual confidence. Your breakthrough is larger than temporary relief. It may become a new example for everyone who comes after you. Children learn not only from what you provide, but from how you speak about provision. They learn from whether money is surrounded by terror or wisdom. They learn from whether mistakes are hidden or corrected. They learn from whether success produces arrogance or gratitude. They learn from whether generosity is fearful or joyful. Your transformed consciousness becomes a form of inheritance. Sigh. Divine order is established in me and through me. Every pattern of fear, shame, and inherited scarcity is broken. I establish a new pattern of wisdom, peace, responsibility, and abundance. My life becomes evidence that transformation is possible. The desert blooms not only for itself, it becomes nourishment. It becomes shelter. It becomes beauty for everyone who passes through it. So will your restored life. Now, let us enter the final prayer. Do not rush through these words. Speak them aloud when possible. Let each statement become a conscious agreement. Take a slow breath. Allow the body to become still. Place every concern before divine intelligence. The amount you need, the bill you cannot yet see how to pay, the opportunity you are waiting for, the family member you are worried about, the mistake you wish you could undo, the decision you must make, the future that feels uncertain. You do not need to hide any of it. Bring it all into the light and pray. Divine Presence, I come before you exactly as I am. I do not pretend that I have no fear. I do not pretend that the need is unreal. I do not pretend that I understand the entire way forward. I bring you my honest condition. I bring you my exhaustion. I bring you my financial pressure. I bring you every thought that has disturbed my peace. And now I release them into infinite wisdom. I am no longer willing to carry alone what was meant to be carried with divine guidance. I cast every burden upon the presence within. I release the belief that my worry is protecting me. I release the belief that anxiety is responsibility. I release the belief that I must suffer before I am allowed to receive good. Divine order now governs every part of my life. Divine order governs my mind. Divine order governs my words. Divine order governs my finances. Divine order governs my relationships. Divine order governs my work. Divine order governs my choices. Divine order governs the channels through which my rightful good reaches me. I withdraw my creative power from fear. I no longer visualize failure as though it were certain. I no longer speak limitation as though it were permanent. I no longer call myself abandoned, forgotten, incapable, or unworthy. I am an expression of divine life. I am teachable. I am guided. I am capable of change. I am capable of receiving. I am capable of wise stewardship. I speak the word of faith. My words are filled with peace and spiritual authority. I declare that the perfect way is made clear before me. I declare that every necessary resource is available in divine mind. I declare that I recognize the right channel when it appears. I declare that I possess the courage to act upon right guidance. I welcome provision through expected and unexpected ways. I release dependence upon one person, one job, one company, one client, or one opportunity. These may be channels, but they are not my source. My source is unlimited. My source is wise. My source is creative. My source knows paths I cannot calculate. My source is active even when movement is invisible. I bless every present channel. I bless my work. I bless my abilities. I bless the money already in my care. I bless every bill, knowing that wisdom reveals the right way to meet every legitimate obligation. I bless the people through whom good has come to me. I release resentment toward those who disappointed me. I do not bind my future to their past behavior. I forgive myself for every financial mistake. I receive the lesson and release the shame. I correct what can be corrected. I repair what can be repaired. I begin again with greater wisdom. I am not too late. I have not missed every opportunity. My perfect opportunities remain available in divine order. What belongs to my rightful path cannot be permanently withheld from me. I am guided to prepare for it. I am guided to recognize it. I am guided to accept it. I am guided to use it well. I receive peace now. I do not postpone peace until every bill is paid. I do not postpone peace until every question is answered. Peace is the atmosphere in which the right answer is revealed. Peace clears my perception. Peace steadies my hands. Peace restores my body. Peace makes room for intuition. I choose peace first. From peace, I act. From peace, I speak. From peace, I decide. I receive wisdom equal to every increase. I receive discipline equal to every opportunity. I receive discernment equal to every decision. I receive humility equal to every success. I receive strength equal to every responsibility. Money flows into my life through honest, useful, and divinely ordered channels. I recognize value. I create value. I exchange value fairly. I receive compensation without guilt. I charge rightly for my work. I honor the work of others. I manage every resource with clarity. I do not waste in order to impress. I do not hoard in order to feel safe. I save wisely. I spend intentionally. I give freely and responsibly. I am a channel of abundance. Good does not stop with me. It supports me, restores me, and flows through me to bless others. My prosperity brings peace to my family. My prosperity creates opportunities. My prosperity supports meaningful purposes. My prosperity becomes an expression of gratitude. I release every wall built by disappointment. My heart is open to trustworthy good. I remain discerning, but I am receptive. I remain wise, but I am hopeful. I remain grounded, but I am willing to expect miracles of right timing, right connection, and right action. The window is open. Fresh spiritual air moves through every stagnant place. Every old seal of fear is broken. Every channel appointed for my good is cleared. Divine circulation is established. My ideas circulate. My work circulates. My gifts circulate. My money circulates. My gratitude circulates. My good returns multiplied in wisdom, usefulness, and peace. The rain falls upon every dry place. Dormant seeds awaken. Creativity returns. Energy returns. Hope returns. Right relationships are restored or peacefully released. New opportunities arise. My life moves from stagnation into divine movement. I am not afraid of the valley. I keep walking. I do not turn back merely because the mountain is hidden. Every step of faith changes my position. Every right decision brings me closer. Every word of truth strengthens the path beneath my feet. I will not quit. I will not surrender my future to temporary appearances. I will not allow fear to become prophecy. I choose trust. I choose abundance. I choose wisdom. I choose peace. I choose right action. The flow of good is turned on in my consciousness. I am open. I am ready. I am listening. I accept with gratitude. I accept the perfect idea with gratitude. I accept the perfect opportunity with gratitude. I accept the perfect connection with gratitude. I accept the wisdom to recognize my good with gratitude. I accept the courage to receive it with gratitude. I accept the discipline to manage it with gratitude. I accept the opportunity to share it with gratitude. Divine order now opens my way. My supply comes through perfect channels at perfect times. I am led to the right place. I speak the right words. I meet the right people. I recognize the right opportunity. I take the right action. Nothing can separate me from the good appointed for my life. I am guided by divine intelligence. My words are filled with power and peace. The way is made clear before me. The abundance is flowing now. Take another breath. Let the final declaration remain within you. The abundance is flowing now. Do not use these words as an anxious demand. Speak them as calm inner consent. You are not commanding money to appear through fantasy. You are agreeing to participate in the movement of rightful supply. You are agreeing to notice opportunities. You are agreeing to honor intuition. You are agreeing to prepare. You are agreeing to stop blocking good with repeated declarations of hopelessness. You are agreeing to receive and manage what comes. This is the spiritual contract you make with your own consciousness. From this moment, speak more carefully. When you are tempted to say, "I will never have enough," pause. Say instead, "I am guided toward right supply." When you are tempted to say, "Nothing ever works for me," pause. Say, "I am learning to recognize what works." When you are tempted to say, "This is impossible," pause. Sigh, "I do not yet see the answer, but divine intelligence does." When you are tempted to call yourself a failure, pause. Sigh, "I am correcting my direction." Your future listens to the language of your present consciousness. Give it a new instruction, and then support the instruction with action. The spoken word is not a substitute for action. It prepares consciousness for right action. After this prayer, do something peaceful and practical. Write down the idea that came to you. Organize the document. Send the message. Review the account. Make the appointment. Rest, if rest is the instruction. Begin where you are, with what you have, guided by the light you have received. You do not need to see the entire staircase. You need only place your foot upon the next step. The final lesson is simple. Your word is creative. Faith makes room. Gratitude recognizes good. Peace reveals direction. Intuition guides right action. Wisdom protects increase. Generosity keeps good in circulation. Persistence carries you through the valley. Divine order joins all these things together. You are not waiting to become worthy. You are learning to become receptive. You are not attempting to persuade a reluctant source. You are releasing resistance to the source that has never abandoned you. You are not begging life for permission to exist fully. You are accepting your responsibility to live, create, serve, receive, and prosper according to divine right. The desert is no longer the end of your story. Rain has touched the ground. The hidden seeds are responding. The window is no longer sealed. Fresh air has entered. The path is not permanently closed. Your eyes are opening to another direction. The valley is not your destination. You are still walking. The flow of good is not waiting in a distant future. It begins every time you speak faith instead of fear. It begins every time you choose peace instead of panic. It begins every time you follow the next right step. It begins every time you accept help. It begins every time you honor your gifts. It begins every time you give thanks before the entire answer is visible. Carry this declaration with you. I speak the word of faith, and divine order now opens my way. Write it in the comments as your conscious declaration. I speak the word of faith, and divine order now opens my way. And whenever fear attempts to close the door again, return to these words. Speak them calmly. Speak them faithfully. Speak them until your decisions agree with them. Then walk forward with quiet certainty. Divine order is working. The path is opening. The channels are being revealed. Your heart is receptive. Your mind is becoming clear. Your burden is released. Your good is finding its rightful expression. And the abundance is flowing now.